Jai Mohanji to all. We are reading book series I Am Mohanji, and we are going to read from where we stopped last time. The story we are beginning to read today is Mohanji became a friend to me, a close friend. I was relieved. My life felt sorted. The only thing still left unsorted was the thought as to why Mohanji repeatedly spoke about our responsibility towards our dependence over and over again throughout the Empowered Four. So repeatedly has he spoken, it would even be appropriate to say he actually hammered. His words were zero deviation from responsibility. How could he have given weightage to words I spoke while it seemed he completely ignored the actions I have performed throughout my life? The story was slowly unfolding itself. A lot of contemplation eventually led me to discover that this was actually a kind of friendly gesture that Mohanji was so dearly exhibiting. Surprised? I'm sure you are. You would be thinking, how can these words like zero deviation from responsibility repeatedly being hammered to somebody can have a flavor at all of any kind of friendly gesture? We all have friends. Some friends become really very close to our hearts. We do not then have any barriers between us. We talk, we share feelings, we share joys, we divide sorrows. We become very informal with each other. This informality brings feather-like lightness to the relationship. We don't think twice and derive happiness even if it were about pulling each other's leg. Initially, these words, zero deviation from responsibility of Mohanji, felt like sharp arrows to me. They brought me bruises. However, I still continued to believe that Mohanji couldn't be thrashing me for something I was not at fault for. He surely is aware of the truth. I needed to find out what was beneath the visible. Once the feelings of being bruised and stuff begin to settle down and stabilize, these same words were now touching me in an altogether different form. This is a feeling hard to explain. It gave me a feeling that Mohanji had actually been pulling my leg by repeatedly saying zero deviation from responsibility. This time I found the ripples created by these very same words did not produce any effects of confusion or that of agitation. Impulsively, I found myself responding back to him in my heart, uttering, "Say it one more time, Mohanji. Just you say it one more time." See it as a gesture of hitting back. Until now, Mohanji was a guru to me. A new bond was beginning to happen, that of a close friend with whom I could share, with whom I could freely talk, and with whom I could freely be myself. The next story is living the story of Hanuman writing Ramayana. There is yet another aspect to this whole story of writing the empowered sessions. It's time now to share my next experience on living scriptures. It's about the story that I shared about Hanuman writing Ramayana on leaves. Mohanji graced me to live that story in real time. I may not have attended Empowered 1 to 5 in a sequential series. The order in which the Empowered series have come to me are Empowered 4 first, then Empowered 1, Empowered 2, Empowered 3, and lastly Empowered 5. There wasn't even ever a sequential pattern of reading or writing of the sessions that I was following. But in whatever manner I wrote, in whatever manner I read, in whatever sequence I followed, it was exactly the sequence that was meant for me. You can call it customized for me. I am sure if it had been in any other order or if it had any other deviations, it wouldn't have delivered the results it did so effectively. So this became a personal Ramayana to me that I had been writing to remember Mohanji, to remember his words of wisdom and remember his philosophy. This Ramayana of mine had answered all my personal life questions. This writing of mine became comparable to the writing of Hanuman. It was not for Jan Kalyan, which means general welfare of the world. The Empowered series as delivered by Mohanji in sequential order is comparable as the Ramayana for Jan Kalyan, general welfare of the world. But the Ramayana that I wrote in the most customized manner as it came to me was just for me in particular. I symbolically was living the story about Hanuman writing Ramayana on banana leaves in real life. I tore off all my 300 hours of writing work that was spent on three large notebooks to pieces. This I did to give a similar conclusion to my story. This was the third opportunity that Mohanji had provided me to live scriptures in real time. The first one was the Maharaj Leela with Krishna, explained ahead in chapter Empowered 4 Day 7. The second one was that of Bhakta for whom Krishna brings chariot, and Hanuman writing Ramayana, the third. I am so immensely grateful to Mohanji, and I'm understanding that he first puts me on a certain frequency like that of Hanuman or Radha or the Bhakta, and then I am able to live an experience related to that dimension of consciousness, like the surrender aspect of Hanuman or the friendly aspect of gopis, the milk maidens, or the devotional aspect of Punnathanam, the innocent Krishna Bhakta. Here's a picture. Hanumanji writes Ramayan. Moving to next chapter, chapter 3, a journey of purification, the process of me becoming Mohanji. The most important part of my spiritual journey has been that of purification. I am sure you have been reading my story very attentively. You will be able to recollect the story where I have described how I was judging people and how then I was able to overcome it. Keeping my word to include my special journey of complete cleansing as a separate chapter, I shall now describe how one by one my negativities got showcased to me, how then these eventually got removed. I shall also write about how positivity got infused in me. Before I begin to write a detailed account, I would like you to take note that definitely the lessons are delivered to me by Mohanji, but as one would imagine, Mohanji isn't in person with me at any point in time, nor is there a word of any direct communication from him. How is then that the impact of the lessons is happening? Imparting of the lessons is happening. I believe the one pointed focus and deep faith and devotion from my side, complemented with Mohanji's grace and effective guidance made these experiences possible. One may call it telepathy, or call it as an existence in another realm, or call it a soul to soul connection where I would feel a thought or get an impulse or could hear Mohanji's words, which would miraculously help me overcome some element of negativity. I must say, these extraordinary ways are very powerful, and the impact from the lessons so learned are life changing and transformative. The next negative element that I saw leave me was fears. The other negative elements that got dropped off one by one were insecurities, ownerships, tendencies and inclinations, violence, unrighteousness, and so many more. They started getting peeled off like layers of onion, and I started feeling lighter and lighter and purer and purer. I will now share the stories about how they got removed. So the first story is about fears, about how fears got removed. So I'll start reading that. Subtitle is Fears. My first occasion to meet and know Mohanji, as I have described in previous chapters, was at a retreat in Pennsylvania. For the satsang program, we were asked to write questions if we may have any, on a small piece of paper, which then one of the volunteers would address Mohanji on our behalf. My condition in life at that point in time was at the lowest on all levels, physical, mental, emotional, social, and in spirit as well. So low that I could relate it with the condition of Sudama, a childhood friend of Krishna, who was reduced to bones due to harsh wear and tear of life. The question to which I was seeking an answer, the very question that was the thrust behind finding God, the very reason to have reached at the feet of Mohanji was, life is very hard. How can I continue to live my life like that? I wrote this on a piece of paper and waited for it to get picked up. But due to time constraints, it did not get picked up. I was losing hope even more. As time passed, a good amount of time, like 4 to 5 months, the incident had faded off my mind. I had almost forgotten that my question had got unanswered and was in terms with it. But later, at one instance, while I was revisiting my Empowered 4 notes, I clearly saw that the answer to my question was lying right there, right in the notes. The answer that I so found was, you first hold on to fears yourself and then you expect the master to remove them. So masters don't even entertain such questions. I got goosebumps. It was definitely the answer to my question, the question which he didn't entertain at the retreat, but nevertheless is so kindly answering in some other way. These kinds of other ways, I must say, are very, very impactful. It gives us satisfaction as though we have ourselves made an effort to reach the answer. They are also effective because the medium through which they reach are extraordinary, and so it creates a deep impact. Yes, I understood that I myself was holding on to fears. This is again in the same context of my special needs son that I have previously mentioned. It has been a hard struggle day after day, year after year, for 25 years by then. I am always fearful for him. I fear if I am not around for him, how will his needs be taken care of? Contemplating upon the answer that I now had, I was beginning to realize that in this way I was taking on his ownership and believed myself to be the doer all the time. So, probably in the subconscious mind, the impressions so made were getting me glued to my situation. I began to practice a different outlook, an outlook where we are two individual karmic beings and the things are happening through me. Mohanji's answer helped me understand that God is the only one who creates, sustains, and dissolves. I cannot be the doer of things here. Things are happening through me. This helped dilute my fears, and I slowly overcame them, and I started to feel light. The next vice that got removed is insecurities. The subtitle is insecurities. Next, he took off my insecurities. My husband is a very strong support to me throughout my difficulties in life. While the responsibility of providing direct care to our son lies with me, the financial responsibility is completely taken care of by my husband. So, I have kind of developed a feeling of insecurity. Mohanji helped me overcome these insecurities. He speaks about examples of nature in Sanatan Dharma. We have all heard him say, a bird eats how much it needs and does not store it for the next day. It strengthened my faith in God as the sole sustainer. He also says that if we have a mouth, there will be food. Mohanji speaks with conviction, and if he says so, then it is so. A strong faith was built. This helped drop the insecurities. The next aspect, the next vice which Mohanji helped me overcome is violence. It's a very beautiful story. I'll start reading. This is an amazing story. This is during Empowered 5 in-person program in Serbia. I had reached a bit late, so I rushed straight to the hall where the welcome session with Mohanji was being conducted. I requested the reception to allow me to do the formalities of checking in after the program. They kindly allowed me. I happily attended the program and subsequently checked into my room. I found there was no soap, no shampoo in my room. Neither did I have any toothpaste with me. So I approached the reception and asked them to refill the things for me. My request went ignored. The next evening, I went again with the same request. This time it was not a very polite request because it was a repetition and I was desperately needing these things after a long journey. It was beyond my understanding that even this bit of agitation, even this bit of unpoliteness falls under the umbrella of violence. For me, violence meant weapons and bad words and loud noises, but Mohanji made me realize that even this level of unpoliteness is violence. I'm sure now you want to know how Mohanji brought me this realization. During the welcome session, Mohanji mentions in context to a participant's question that if somebody is violent, then he would send his volunteer to him. Please note that these words he had spoken even before I have checked in or have noticed about the soap and the other toiletries missing, which means he knew the course of future events, that I will find the things missing and I will get into an agitated behavior. This episode of me getting agitated came to the notice of one of the volunteers. The volunteer approached me and spoke back to me in the same tone of agitation, the world giving back to me what I gave. The volunteer had noticed things herself, and it is not that this person was sent by Mohanji as such. A deeper contemplation, though, reveals that the entire episode is orchestrated by Mohanji, by Supreme Consciousness, and yes, in that sense, it is he who sent the volunteer to me. The lesson was very impactfully delivered. I began to observe my behavioral patterns and was making a conscious effort that these always remained in the brackets of non-violence, the new definition of which now freshly understood by me. By this time, I was so deeply connected to Mohanji that I could recognize when Mohanji was specifically addressing me amidst the address to the whole group in general. I was now able to differentiate the breath patterns of Mohanji during his speech, and I knew exactly when he was specifically addressing me or talking to me. So I surely know that somebody was me myself that Mohanji spoke of. The next story is criticize, condemn, and repentance. It's true, we do not realize, but our friends are the ones who really care for us and provide for us and always stand by our side. But we take them for granted and we don't even realize how much we criticize and condemn them. We can see this in close relationships, as that of husband and wife, where we take each other for granted. I am no different from anybody else. In one such instance, I consciously observed my behavior. I was ashamed to find that I was believing that what I was believing to be a normal speech otherwise now was bringing me this realization that it was so packed with criticizing and condemning my own husband, who is such a big support to me in my life. I remembered the pause technique taught by Mohanji. I stopped all activity and paused. I gave myself a moment to cut off from the activity I was engaged into. This effort helps bring us back to consciousness. I thought about it even deeper and started to recognize that my behavior was coming out of an unconscious mode. Recollecting Mohanji's teachings, I was further beginning to understand that some of the activities of other people that we do not like should not influence the behavior pattern change in us if we understand that it is all about the play of inclinations and tendencies. These inclinations and tendencies are imbibed within us and provoke certain behavior pattern in ourselves. It is the same with other people as well. This means we all stand helpless at the hands of these inclinations and tendencies. So I started first taking note of these inclinations as they happened and then accepting them as a pre-programmed thing. A lot of conscious or deliberate effort is then needed to not let them go unleashed. Eventually, it became easy for me to accept other people as they are with their own set of inclinations and tendencies. There seemed no valid point to criticize somebody for something they themselves are helpless about. When we wear these new glasses of awareness given to us by Mohanji, we are able to diagnose our own situations and recognize our own follies. Mohanji's teachings have filled up my subconscious mind and I retrieve solutions from it like a ready reckoner. The question now was, what do you do once the damage is done? We can't go into the past and correct. This ready reckoner of mine came in handy and showed me that repentance was a way which can be done in the present moment. So without losing more time or holding on to my ego, which usually I would not do much, I approached my husband and sought for his forgiveness for my behavior. Repentance imbibed in me. The impure layer of criticism dropped. We'll stop for today. Thank you for joining me. Next, we will continue with the next story in our next episode. Till then, stay blessed, stay happy. Jai Mohanji.